Welcome to the Lay Low Pod, the podcast that keeps it real while you figure things out. I'm Erin, and let's lay low. If you're in a season of becoming where life doesn't look how it used to, but not quite how it will, you're in the right place. Sometimes to grow, you have to lay low. Welcome to the Lay Low Pod. My name is Erin, and I'm so glad that you are here with me today. It has been a crazy week here. Starting Monday, it just went balls to the wall. There's no other way I can describe it. We are in the middle of an eclipse season for all of my astrology lovers, so this isn't surprising that things just seem to be moving fast. Things are feeling a little uncomfortable, but this is the time where you really just have to lean into those moments and look for the lessons. You really just have to take it a day at a time and ride the wave. A friend last night texted me, and she's an Aquarius, and she knows that I am into the astrology, and she was explaining kind of the week that she had. And I said, girl, you know, when you're in the river and you're swimming against the waves and you're just fighting and fighting and fighting, that's how weeks like this can feel if you are affected by astrology. And when you're riding against the wave, it's just hard and it just feels like nothing's working. And maybe there's people out there that have felt that this last week. My best advice is to just flip over onto your back and you're in that river. And instead of fighting the wave, you just roll over, float, and let the waves push you where it's going to go. And really just let go of the control. I think it's important to visualize that and just picture yourself floating down the river and riding the wave and riding the current. And the more we can just kind of let go during these time periods, the more things will work out for us in our favor, because sometimes we don't know what is best for us. So these are kind of times. So if you're feeling a lot of energy this week, let's just ride the wave. Let's just float on our back and see where things take us this week. Okay. But movement is good. It's good when things feel like they're moving. Also, it's crazy that last week, the podcast Tiffany was on, I had so many people reach out that they loved her. They all told me, tell her to come back on and tell her to keep talking. She definitely has a story. I hope she does that. It will be in her own timing. But if you listen to last week's episode, we discussed her family's involvement with a lot of real estate down in the area that she lives in. And on Monday morning, when I was on my social media, I saw pictures and videos of one of their restaurants that had burned down in the night. And so it was just really crazy to have her come on the podcast, discuss everything, and then have her family experience this big loss. And she's had to really navigate a lot of that this week. I couldn't help but also think of how the universe works. Something like this happens and you're like, oh my God, what is the lesson? You know, there's times in our lives where we're looking for a lesson, but it's hard to find. And maybe that is in this situation. I know their family's going to see some kind of lesson that they can learn through this. The week started off a little crazy, but so many good things happened as well. So Colt has been living in Texas since April and selling Vivint security systems. And it was so fun. He came home for 48 hours over a weekend and he spent 24 hours with me and 24 hours with his dad. And it was just so fun to have that little check-in. We spent our time, we went up and saw my parents and he got to have a little Coke Zero and a Harmon's cheese ball with my mom and dad. And that is one of those things that we have at their house all the time. That's what he wanted. And then I told him I would take him to any restaurant that he wanted that he has missed, because he has really missed Utah, even though he has loved the Texas life, and how precious he wanted me to cook for him. So I thought that was just so cute that of all the things he could ask for, he wanted me to cook for him. So I made him Italian meal, which is a lot of my recipes that they love are pasta. So that was fun. We went to the Zach Bryan concert and it was so much fun to be with my boys. And we took Tiffany's son, Jake, with us. We are huge Zach Bryan fans, huge, huge, huge. So it was really fun to just give them a fun night out and a fun memory all together. So that was really great last weekend. Another great thing that happened this week was I realized that football season is here. I love sports. I absolutely love sports. Going to a sports bar, having beers, watching a game is one of my absolute favorite things to do. And this time right now where football is starting and baseball is on, that's my favorite time of the sports year for sure, even though we are definitely getting into the mammoth hockey here in Utah. But I am just loving that football is here and I'm ready to tailgate. I'm ready to have football on, go Cowboys. Yes, that is something that I was born with that I cannot help. That I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. I got that from my dad, and I am proud that I have passed that on to Colt, my son, as well. I wanted to mention too a documentary that I watched on Paramount, and it is a documentary connected to the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. You know, the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. He plays a guy named Jordan Belford, and Jordan is a real person that this movie was made after. He's a guy who was in sales and ended up in New York City, really kind of scamming people out of stocks, these penny stocks back in, was it been, I think about the 90s. But this movie, if you haven't seen it, it's wild. And as crazy as you think that story is, I do believe that happens and that there is a world where that stuff goes on. But the documentary on Paramount, it's 3 episodes, and it's kind of the behind the scenes of the real story. They don't interview Jordan in this documentary, but they pretty much interview all the other guys that were working with him, selling the penny stocks at this time that were making so much money and living this crazy, crazy life. And a lot of them spent prison time for it. And they talk through their whole stories and their lessons. And I just thought it was really cool that this documentary gave them a way to make peace with some of their past, because they really did scam a lot of people. But it tells a lot of the story of things that really did happen from the movie. Like, they will break down the movie by scenes and tell, oh, that actually happened, or no, that never happened. So if you like the movie Wolf of Wall Street, it is called The Real Wolf of Wall Street, and it's on Paramount. So even though this week was an extreme high energetic week in the universe, and things did feel a little uncomfortable and weird and kind of crazy and fast moving, there were definitely way more good things that happened this week than not. One thing that I'm really working on in my life, I want to talk about today, and I can't be the only person who struggles with some of these things, but I want to talk about how hard it is sometimes to stop and realize how far you've come, and stop to see all of the good and the blessings, because life is moving so fast. We are all kind of in survival mode in a lot of ways, just going, working, doing everything that's right in front of us. And it's hard. Those are in the thick of it days where it just feels like you don't get a break. You're not taking good care of yourself because there's too many other things to take care of. There might be people like me as well who, I love to work, I love to build, I love to grow and evolve, and I love to do that in my job as well, which means it's good for me to own my own business. But it's also very stressful to own your own business. Even though my company and my business are growing right now, and there are so many great, great things, it just is different than other years of my business. And so because it feels a little different, that just makes me a little uncomfortable, even though there's lots of really good things going on. When you're like me and you're always growing and you always are progressing, you don't feel content very often, especially with your work world, because that's your goal. That's what you're doing. You're going and building, and you want more. And it's not really out of a place of greed necessarily. When you own your own business, that's the same thing as 100% commission. Nobody's paying you a salary. Whatever you make, you have to figure it out. For my career, especially since my divorce, so the last 8 years, it has felt like a constant world of survival. And there's been many days where I'm just like, it's not going to be like this forever. Yes, I'm working my ass off and it is really hard, and I've never worked this hard in my life, but I'm not going to have to work this hard forever if I work this hard right now. So that's kind of been my mindset over the last 8 years, but it goes back further than that. And I want to get some of these things off my chest because I really do want to leave this part of me in the past. I am not in a place now where I need to be in survival mode. I have a lot of great things going for me, and I have a great team behind me that is helping support me grow. And for so long in my career, I feel like I was just not able to rely on anybody, and probably my personal life too. Let's be honest. I haven't been able to rely on a lot of people for a long time, especially financially. And that has pushed me to be who I am right now. I want to go into the next season of my life where I'm working because I love to do this and I'm having more moments of being a visionary and building. I want to let go some of that survival mode Erin that I've had to be in the past because I am giving myself permission now that I don't have to be that way anymore. If I think about where this started, it would probably be when Colt was just barely born. My first husband worked in the financial world. And if you remember 2008, 2009, there was a lot of uncertainty and there was a lot of craziness. He always wanted to support our family the best he could. And he did a really good job taking care of me and our family. But we also lived in a one-stoplight town with not a lot of opportunities. So when Colt was born around that time, there was a guy in our town who was flashy and he had made a ton of money and he was spreading this opportunity, we will say. I wanted to say spreading a story, but let's say spreading an opportunity that he had for an investment. And it was basically a super high risk investment situation that had a super high return. And at that time, I do think we were looking for ways to make more money. And remember, at this time, I was 27 years old. I was young. And my first husband and I just looked at this as, okay, maybe this would be good for us. And people that we respected and loved were taking part of this. And we kind of just went for it. This guy ended up being a big scam. And he says he was scammed, but who even really knows? I still see his face like on Facebook or a football game and I want to go like punch the guy. That put a lot of stress on my relationship that snowballed into other things for sure. So we had these two little kids and we were kind of in a hole and things were scary and it affected our relationship significantly. I do think that was the time where I realized I needed to step it up and contribute more because there were just more bills to pay and less money. And turned into us opening Sip It Soda Shack, thinking that will help us bring in more money. And things kind of changed from there. But the survival mode feeling started when we lost this big amount of money for us when I had these two little kids. And from that time, I really have just been working to survive, it feels like, and working to help contribute. Then after my divorce, things got really real for me as well. My first husband did all the finances. I didn't know anything about making payments on anything. I didn't know how to do taxes. I really just let him do the finances because he worked in the financial world. And I do know people and other women who have done the same thing. And I have forgiven myself for not knowing a lot of my finances. And that has been something that won't happen again. But I had decided I wanted this divorce and I wanted to move forward alone. My first husband kind of held that over my head a little bit. Like, you don't know how to do taxes. You don't know how to make your car payment. And then the survival mode went even bigger because somebody told me I didn't know how to do something. It felt like a time that I really had to show people that I could do this. I had to show myself. I had to show my boys. I just felt like I had a lot to prove. And I wanted to prove that I could do this by myself. But the survival feelings of making money just grew and grew. I think I got about $900 child support was what I got after my divorce, and that barely covered my rent. And so Mama went to work. I literally went to work in 100% commission industry, and that's still where I am. In my last relationship, I did let him move into my home pretty quickly. And I think part of that was because I needed to feel some sort of security that I wasn't in this alone. And he paid half of the bills. Everything was split up equally, just like roommates. And he paid half of the bills. I paid the other half. And I think at that time, I just needed to know that I was in this with somebody. We ended up working together, and this was a situation where I wanted to feel security, and I wanted to build a life with him that benefited both of us. 100% commission is not all bad because it's really one of the only things you can do that the harder you work, the more money you make. That's why sales jobs are commission based, because just think, if you have a 9 to 5 and you are getting paid the same every day, no matter how hard you work, do you work a 10 out of 10 every single day? I don't know. I don't think I've been in that spot, but I would guess maybe not. But when you are only being paid based on your worth, your work ethic and your determination and your physical boots on the ground of work, it does open a lot of doors where you can make a lot of money if you are working really hard. And at this time, when I was with my ex-fiance, it pushed me to work harder and harder and harder. I, again, felt like I needed to survive. Now I'm in the city. My bills are higher. Now my kids are going to college. My grandma, Pat, was an entrepreneur and my dad was an only child, and she put my dad through college. And then my parents put me through college, and I feel a responsibility to get my kids through college. I want to be able to help do that for them because that was done for me, and it does make a difference. But it pushed me even more into survival mode financially. And the harder I worked, the less my ex-fiance worked. He almost just saw me working and hustling so hard. And instead of inspiring him to work hard with me, alongside with me, it did the opposite, and he stopped coming to the office. It was hard to not have a partner who couldn't look at me and say, I don't want you to work so hard. And honestly, that to me means the world to me going forward, and who I choose as my final partner is I just want them to say, hey, babe, I love that you work so hard. I love it, but I don't want you to stress this much. How can I help? I just want to cheer you on. That's all I want. I didn't have that in my last relationship. And that's probably the biggest red flag if I look back. I so desperately just wanted to feel safe. I just feel that I don't need to be in survival mode anymore. I feel that I have support around me, and I have people willing to help me, and I have a team behind me that works so well with me and who takes my guidance and who takes my vision and works really hard right alongside with me. And I feel so blessed to not be in this alone at all. And I need to stop and tell myself, Erin, yes, it's been hard for a long time, and you have been in survival mode for a long time when it comes to security and taking care of yourself, but you're different now. Things are different now, and you can let that go and leave it in the past. And that's truly what I want to do, because I know my business is going to grow, and I know I'm going to grow so much more by leaving that in the past and allowing myself to see things a new way, and that will just take me to the next level. So you might ask yourself, okay, yes, I want to change. I want things in the future to look different than they do right now, but how do I get there? And you might think that it comes in as one huge change, and sometimes it does. Sometimes there is a big change, and somebody wins the lottery, or somebody got a huge inheritance, or somebody got their dream job fall out of the sky with a huge salary and they never have to worry again. There's times like that for people. For me, what it has looked like is small changes consistently, intentional small changes. And I want to give you a few examples just because I've been thinking about this maybe the last month, and I've watched myself make some little changes, and I'm like, okay, Erin, this is what you do. And this is why life keeps changing and leveling up for you. And I just want to share some of the things that I've done in the last month to help push me progressing in the right way. You want life to change, but then it starts changing and it feels uncomfortable. Or you want life to change, but you're too scared to do anything different than what you're doing. So maybe looking at some small things might help. The first thing that pops into my mind is when I was working with Perfectly Posh, everything was pink and black and white polka dots. And I kind of just got over it. And so when I started working in the solar industry, and I stopped buying anything pink. And it was just because I said, I'm not a pink girl. I'm not a pink girl. I'm not a pink girl. I would pick blue, green. I am a blue girl. I just am. I'm a boy mom. I love blue. I love turquoise. I'm not a pink girl. So I've been telling myself this while I was shopping for some new walking shoes to walk the dog. And I love Hoka's. They are just the best walking shoes. And my feet were just starting to hurt. And I was like, I just need a pair of shoes really quick. And it was a Sunday and the running store was closed. And so Nordstrom was open. So I ran to Nordstrom to see what Hoka's they had in stock. And really one of the only ones that I liked in my size was white on the top and then had a pink sole. And my first thought was, I'm not a pink girl. But then I looked at these shoes and I just said, Erin, come on, you can be a pink girl today. And I looked at the shoe and I was like, okay, I looked at it for a while because, okay, Erin, are you a pink girl today? And I bought the shoes and I was like, today I'm a pink girl. Then I was picking out this like candle holder thing and I was picking between like a pale pink and a white and I picked the pale pink and I said, yep, I'm a pink girl now. I have pink bottom shoes and now I have this pink candle and I'm a pink girl. And to me, and it might sound silly to you, but just to me, that signals a change into my brain that I'm different. And when I feel different, I feel that different things come to me, that I can attract different things. And so even just telling myself, I'm a pink girl today and I have pink shoes and I have this pink candle, that can be enough to trigger your brain to make even more changes and to recognize more changes. And as you recognize the changes and you say yes to the changes, more come. And that's how life changes for the better. Another change I just did recently is I've been listening to the same radio show since COVID. So 6 years, which is crazy that COVID was 6 years ago. It was called Jeff Lewis Live. And then the one episode a week turned into 2 episodes. He kept adding more days to his radio schedule. Then he was on 5 days a week for 1 hour. And then a couple years ago, it turned into 5 days a week, 2 hours. I kind of think he's on this like Howard Stern trajectory of some sort. But anyway, so I was spending 10 hours a week listening to this radio show and I would either catch it live while I was working or listen on my dog walk. But 10 hours of listening time is quite a bit. And I remember listening to an episode and I just didn't feel good about it. I was just like, why am I listening to this? This isn't making me really feel great. And I thought about it and I thought, I wonder who I would be if I spent that 10 hours a week listening to something new, something different. And I just told myself that and I stopped listening. Just that little decision. I have been listening to more books. I've been listening to a lot more different podcasts that I feel a lot more uplifted from. And that little change has really affected me in a positive way. And I still love that show and love that crew. And I will keep up on what they're up to, probably just on Instagram Reels. But I have 10 hours a week to invest into the new version of me. And that's been really cool as well. Another big one right now that I'm going through is I have been in the same office building for the last 4 years. And I let them know that I will be leaving. So I will be out of that building at the end of September. And I have no idea where I'm going. I really don't. I have now till October 1st to find a new office. Well, the owner about this, he was like, what's the change for? You know, you've been here for 4 years. You have all these friends here. It's been so good for you. You've built your business here. Why the change? And I said, you know what? It might sound silly, but I don't think my business can grow anymore in this building. And I don't think I can grow anymore in this building. And I'm so appreciative of my 4 years here. And this building and this community has gotten me and my business to this point, and I'm so very grateful. But what I need to get to the next level, I need to find somewhere else. And I can't spend, I'm in my office for at least 7 hours a day. And then I come home and finish up my workday at home. I'm excited to have a new office space. I'm excited to start looking around and seeing some different options. And I have no idea what it will look like, but I know I tell myself I'm going to find the perfect office at the perfect time, and it's going to be dog friendly. So Chip can come with me. He loves coming to the office with me right now. And it's just been so good for him to be an office dog. But that's a big change for me that I'm doing right now. And it really is because I'm ready for this next version of myself. I'm ready for my level up. And it means I need to be in different rooms. It means I need to be in different arenas. And I'm ready for it. And I'm excited for it. This week was a little hectic, but it was so good. And whenever I have a moment, and I caught myself having a few of these moments this week, and I want to share. When I'm having a moment where I kind of stops me in my tracks and I think, Erin, these are the moments that you've always wanted. You used to dream about having a moment like this, or this was on your vision board once upon a time, or you've always wanted to do this. When I catch myself in a moment like that, I stop and I say, I want more moments like this. Universe, bring me more moments like this. I want to be better about stopping in my tracks and saying that out loud. And just this week, it was being at the Zach Bryan concert and having your son next to you singing every single word of his favorite song live. And that song was Burn, Burn, Burn. And he knew every word, and seeing how happy he was, seeing one of his favorite artists singing it live, that was a moment for me where I stopped. And I said, more moments like this with my sons and my family, that I can share experiences with them and share happiness with them, because that is what is driving me at this point in my life now. It is experiences, it is communities, it is experiencing life in the best possible way. And a lot of times that comes in the little moments. Of course, I love the big moments. I love to get dressed up. I love the trips. I love the concerts. I love being on the go. I love a big life. I am proud of that. But that doesn't mean that I don't equally love the small moments, the moments where I say more moments like this. So whether it's at a concert or even just the other day being at a meal with somebody that I care about and having no makeup on, my hair not done, and just being so happy, I said to myself, more moments like this where I can just be myself, the real me, the stripped down version of myself in every way, physically, emotionally, spiritually, that I can just be this raw version of myself in this moment and feel so safe and loved. More moments like that. I want to challenge you right now to think of one little thing that you can do different. And it can be a break of your routine. If you always get gas at the same gas station, go to a different gas station. Or same thing with coffee. You get your coffee at the same place every day. Try a different one. Switch it up. Say, this new version of myself now does this. Now buys coffee at Dutch Bros instead of Starbucks. Be intentional about one thing that you can change that the new version of yourself loves. And that's a fun one. I want to hear. Message me something that you did to change. And the other thing, I want you to be on the lookout for more moments like this, the moments that really count, the moments that you feel grateful to have, where you feel your happiest, where you feel your most self, where you feel the most loved. When you have a feeling like that, stop yourself and tell God, tell the universe, whoever you want to talk to. I talk to all of them. Say, more moments like this. Bring me more moments like this. Fill my world, fill my life with more moments like this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to hear what you guys got away from this. This has been something that I needed to get off my chest. I am leaving that survival mode Erin in my past. That is not who I am anymore. And I can't wait to see what I grow into next. And you will be here to see too. So I love all of you. You guys cheering me on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember to go to the laylowpod.com website and you can apply to be a guest on this pod. We have so many guests lining up, so many stories. You do not want to go anywhere. Let me tell you, it is getting good here, guys. It is getting good here at Laylow. I love you all. This is so fun for me. And thank you for joining me. Well, have a good week and we'll see you next time. Bye.